Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Antonia. I'm a third year medical student studying in the UK, and on my channel I make videos about medicine and university and pretty much anything else that pops into my head. So if that sounds good, feel free to subscribe down below and keep watching this video. So today I just wanted to make a video about placement because I feel like I haven't sat down and had a bit of a chatty video in a while. So I wanted to just see something a bit more chatty and something where I can just kind of ramble on for a bit about placement. In third year at my med school, we have 7 rotations. So we've got 2 halves of medicine, 2 halves of surgery, obs and gynae, which is women's health and pregnancy, pediatrics, which is kids, and a GP placement. So I was actually going to film this after I'd done the first half of medicine and then film another one when I've done the second half, but I sat down to film the video and I didn't really like it, and I thought that I could just talk about it all in one video. So medicine as a placement involves cardiology, which is about the heart and your blood vessels, respiratory, which is basically about your lungs, dermatology, which is skin things, so any moles or lesions or potential skin cancers come under dermatology as a specialty, endocrine, which is basically to do with all the hormones in your body, such as parathyroid hormone, thyroid hormone, cortisol, those sorts of things, and your body uses these hormones to kind of regulate different actions. So if anything goes wrong with that, then you see an endocrinology specialist. You also did diabetes, gastroenterology, which is all to do with your gut. Technically your GI tract is from your mouth to your anus, so it spans a pretty big distance in your body. And also infectious diseases, so that's sepsis, HIV, anything else that kind of can be spread from one person to another. So yeah, it's been an interesting 8 weeks. So each of our rotations are 4 weeks long, but obviously, like I said, medicine is kind of a double rotation, so it was 8 weeks. We had to fulfill a certain number of things. So the way that placement works at my medical school is that we have an e-portfolio and we have certain requirements that we have to achieve in the time on placement, or we don't get to progress to year 4. So that involves us doing a certain number of histories, performing a certain number of examinations on real patients, seeing clinics, seeing specialist investigative experiences such as ECGs and spirometry, so that's just lung function testing, that sort of thing, and performing some of these things as well. Some of our requirements in the medicine block included teaching a patient how to use the inhaler properly, performing an ECG on a patient, taking blood, given certain types of injections as well, so subcutaneous injections and intramuscular injections. So we've had a lot of things to do in a relatively short amount of time, but luckily I've managed to finish everything. It's been really eye-opening because I think majority of med schools kind of do the first and second year, the preclinical years, so you're mostly in lectures, or my university uses CPL, so I was in small groups discussing cases with people, and this year we finally get to put that knowledge to the test and actually get onto the wards and see these things in real life. As I was on the medicine rotation, my hours, which I think I mentioned in my last year placement video, if you haven't watched it, I'll link it up here, but medicine hours generally are from 9 till 5, so my hospital isn't actually that far. The hospital I did medicine in, it was probably a 35-minute drive, but the traffic in the morning was terrible, so we often had to leave an hour beforehand, and then traffic getting back home was also bad as well, so we often got home 45 minutes after we'd left hospital. So I think it's quite easy for your time to be sucked up by placement. Not that it's not useful, but I'm definitely still getting used to the idea of having to be in hospital for all those hours and then come back home, eat, rest, study still, because I still need to be studying to keep my knowledge up, do things I want to do, like go to the gym, see friends, go to church, just live a normal life, but with this massive chunk of your day devoted to being in hospital. But I think we're getting used to it. My house, we actually study together, so that's been quite nice, although sometimes we do get distracted by Netflix, but it's good. I quite enjoy living with medics for that reason, because I feel like I'm not suffering on my own. I feel as though I have people who directly understand the implications and the struggle that being a medical student is sometimes, and you can confide in them quite well. I mentioned earlier that one of the requirements for this year for us is actually to take blood. This is the first year that we've been allowed to take blood from actual patients, or we've actually been allowed to take blood full stop, and it's definitely been interesting. I think it's a hard skill to kind of get right each time, and honestly, people who can take blood just like that mystify me. I still don't understand. I've taken 3 or 4 sets of bloods in my medicine rotation, and all bar one was successful, so I feel quite accomplished with my 75% success rate, but it's definitely something that needs to be practiced, and I see why they didn't let us do this skill until this year. But yeah, it's been interesting. One of the major things about placement that lots of medical students before me told me, and said on YouTube and stuff, is that consultants will basically be there to pimp you out, which if you are not from like a medical background, basically when consultants pimp people, it's when you're a medical student surrounded by other healthcare professionals, you're on a ward round or just in a place where lots of other medical professionals are, and the consultant will pick on you to answer a range of questions basically, and they'll just like grill you to see how much you know. I wish I could say that this wasn't the case, but with some consultants it definitely is. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Like, there are some times when you just don't know the answer to something and you have to just kind of either guess or just say that you don't know, but on the whole it's an interesting way to learn. It's not necessarily the way that I would choose to be taught. I haven't had many embarrassing situations like that, because I feel like as a person I'm quite comfortable with saying that I don't know something. If I genuinely have no idea, then I don't know. And on the whole, the consultants I've had have been okay when I haven't known, and the occasions that I do know, then it's been quite nice as well. But I know that I have some friends who have been on the same rotations as me and have not had quite as nice an experience with those consultants. So yeah, it's definitely something to watch out for. When you go into a ward, if you know what kind of ward it is and you know what sorts of illnesses you should see on that ward, definitely read up on it. You don't have to know everything about that particular specialty, but it's really, really handy to actually know main conditions, what they present with, typical examination findings. Consultants love asking those as well. Another thing that you'll find on the wards is that it's really, really busy. Like, I found that there'd be times when I'd want to present a case that I'd taken to a doctor and there'll be no doctors about because they're all doing their job, seeing patients and things, which can get quite frustrating. But it's obviously important to remember that while you're on placement, everyone else in the hospital is basically just doing their job, looking after patients. So yeah, that's something again you have to adjust to, but I think we became pros in making ourselves busy doing other things, whether it's going to study for a couple of hours in the library or seeing more patients, or just seeing whether you can observe what a doctor or a nurse or someone else is doing. I'm not really going to talk about the cases I saw or any specific cases I saw, because there are quite strict rules on talking about patients outside of the hospital, especially because you may see a patient and describe them, and it may be a really distinctive thing you're describing, and someone may know who you're talking about, which can lead to confidentiality issues. But I have seen a range of cases in all the specialties I listed at the start, which has been quite interesting. I think I didn't quite realise, for me, how much of an issue certain respiratory conditions were, especially in the area of England that I study in. I think COPD, I saw so many patients that had COPD or bronchiectasis, which is when your airways get enlarged basically. And I think I've listened to a lot of wheezy lungs, which have been interesting as well. I use the word interesting so much, but that is genuinely what I thought of placement this year. Even though it's been hard getting used to it, I think it's definitely the way I prefer to learn. I like being on the wards and seeing the conditions that I read about in first year and second year come to life, but I'm still definitely getting used to having a life outside of placement basically. Yeah, in terms of how I felt about the placement, I like medicine. I do like medicine. I am interested to see the other specialties as well, because I feel like I kind of don't have anything to compare it to. My next rotation, which starts tomorrow when I'm filming this, is obs and gynae. So like I said before, that's basically just women's health and pregnancy. So I am really excited. I'm moving hospital for this one, so my hospital, instead of being 35 minutes away, is now going to be just under an hour away. Luckily for me, I've got a lift with one of my friends, and I'm interested to see what the placement will hold for me. I'm going to try and film some kind of days in the life and weeks in the life. And even if I can't do that, I want to try and do this sort of video for my next rotation, just so I can compare and contrast how the placement was. Thank you for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, please feel free to give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below, and if you have any video requests or anything you want me to talk about, feel free to leave that down below as well. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.